Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This video today is rework. I shot the entire video on completing, as much as we can, the heating system for my bed. When I went to review my footage, I found my microphone settings were shut off. So we're going to have to jump around. You're going to have to kind of forgive me trying to make a correction to a mistake, but we all make it. Congratulations, I'm human. Would be nice to be a cyborg though. Anyway, this is a waterproof box. This is the bottom of it. This is the transmission oil cooler that I told you I was going to be using because it's what I have. Yes, I water tested it and it works perfectly. No leaks. Temperature gauge was from the system I was supposed to be building in my dream home, along with the Pex valve that's here. Water is going to come into the system through this upper line, go through my valve temperature reading, and go down into this side of my transmission oil cooler. The exit line is on this side of my transmission oil cooler. The hosing is going to come from the bottom, go underneath, all the way around and back and out down here. Where my fist is, there will be two 1/2-inch Pex Tees with a valve, more than likely a ball valve, in line. And what that valve will do is if I open that valve, I can close this one, and the water coming up from my diesel heater will now go down that line and return to drain. So I'm going to have to link my in and outs together on a separate valve. I can, by using a ball valve, I can throttle that, so if it gets too hot but I still want some heat, I can open the drain so I'm not putting as much water through here as fast as possible. This box is 12 by 9 by 6. I was talking about costs in the last video. This box cost me less than $13 Canadian because I bought it here in Malaysia. The exchange rate is 3 to 1. American is 4 to 1. So when we talk costs, you have to talk relativity. If I'm having to buy everything in North America, my costs are going to go up a lot higher than they are here. That's one of the reasons I'm trying to buy as much as the stuff as I can here to get as much bang for my buck, as they say, as humanly possible. Not everything is cheap. I'm going to get into that when we do another section on this video. Because I've screwed up, I'm going to jump right to near the end. This is the lid for the box. When I was doing my ventilation, I set up my ventilation and my heat flows, the fans that I use over things like my inverter, my DC to DC charger, and my MPPT unit. Now I may have to buy a second MPPT unit if I can get the solar panels that I want. I need 4, I'll buy 5, but I need a second MPPT, and they all run on 4-inch computer fans just like this one. This is 3.5. The reason that I wanted to go with 3.5 is I knew I could stick 4 fans in here. On this lid I have a switch. This one might come out. This is a 3-position. In other words, push it one way I can get two fans to come on. Push it the other way, I can get the other 2. I may leave that, or I may switch the switch out for just a simple, power in, power out switch. That's mounted in my lid. These fans have a sticker, as you can see in the middle of it here. Get the lines out of the way. That is the direction of airflow. It's also pointed out here. There's a little arrow that camera can't pick up, but it's on top of the fan, right? Going this way right now, and the blade rotation is that way. What is happening is any air coming through the back of this fan is going to get sucked out and head towards the camera. So these are going to be mounted like this in the box. And that's what I'm going to do now with this video, seeing so we managed to screw things up earlier because the settings weren't right. I'm also going to have to drill 2 holes probably in this side of the box to allow air to come in. Because it doesn't, you got to get air in before you can get air out. The back of this box, I've got my heat exchanger, there we go, held in with these 6 bolts. These are 1/4 by 1.25 inch bolts, and if the camera can pick it up, I can't see, I'm looking at the screen on the back of my camera. These stick out about 3/4 inch. What this is going to allow me to do is I'll put paint on all of these things when I'm ready to mount it, and that paint will just go up to my aluminum wall before I can completely build my wall where this is going to mount to. I'll just go bunk onto the aluminum, because it has to be aluminum, 1/4 inch plate. I will drill through those holes, take all of these bolts and screws and nuts apart, rip it all down to nothing again, put the bolts through the aluminum, through this, put the nuts on the inside, and then I'll button it all back up so it looks like that again. And it'll hang on a 1/4 inch plate, so I don't have to worry about it falling out. The 0.50 aluminum skins are like 16 gauge. They're not going to support this. So areas that I need to have support, like the back wall in my camper, the tanks wall, I want the front wall in my camper also to be built of aluminum, 1/4 inch aluminum plate, because that's going to take a lot of wind. Yes, you do get winds from the side, but you get more from the front than the sides. And because the sides are angled, I don't want a light skin in there. I don't have a dome or anything pushing the air around the sides of the vehicle. I've got my basket sitting in front of it, which is this great big blob sitting there, and my aerodynamics. I'm going to have the aerodynamics of a brick. I know that going in, so your gas mileage is going to suck, but so does life, right? So to get back to what we're doing here, I'm going to be spacing these fans with 2 different washers. So I'm going to take 2 washers, and a bolt. I'll pop a bolt through a hole. Try to get these to thread. And I'm going to mount that so that the wire is in that position. Matter of fact, I'm not. I'm going to take it all off. I'm going to drop 4 bolts in at a time. Maybe. Come on, get in there. Thank you. You too. No, don't you fall down. Now I got to pick you back up again. Thank you. In the ta-da section, we have Ta and his brother Da. Now I can drop on my washers. That's a nut, not a washer. If we're lucky, this is going to work. Ha ha ha, right? Don't worry, I've already tested it out. I know it works. It just wants to be a pain in the butt because it can. These holes are a little bit bigger than the bolts, so I've got a little bit of wiggle room with the way things go in. Take the fan. This bolt wants to be a pain in the butt. Of course, there always has to be one, right? Will you get in there? You know, you put this together when you don't have the camera running and it goes together bing bang bang. You know, the minute the camera's running, oh no. You can't be doing that. That would be like too much like work. Come on. Stop giving me a hard time. You don't have to give me a hard time, you know. Alright, I'm going to shut off the video and I'll bring you back as soon as I get all this done. This is a pain in the butt. Hello, welcome back. It's been a couple of hours. I've had a fight on my hands. Now, my father co-wrote 2 math books, Mathematics 7 and 8. They're used in the province of Ontario in the mid-1970s, late 1960s. I failed math every year, almost. So which that explains why I have adapted to the new math, as it's called. Everybody knows that 4 times 4 is 12. Right? 4 times 4 equals 12. That probably explains why I'm 4 bolts short of being able to bolt in all my fans. You see, I bought 3 fans, forgot about the one at home, so when I got the bolts for 3 fans and not for 4. So, shot myself in the head again. We're making progress. Oh boy. So that's got this done. So they say this is going to be mounted on the wall, and this is going to be the heat control unit from my bedroom. The air is going to come in through the side, get picked up by the heat exchanger, and these 4 fans are going to suck everything out of here and blow it out. That's the way that operates. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about today was costs. Now, my coffee's gone cold 4 times, and so I'm going to have it while it's hot. There are some people that like ice cold coffee, not me. Now, the next thing I have to do today is I have to build the solar disconnect box for the other MPPT solar charge controller that I need to have. This is the first box that's ready to go. I bought this box cheaper than I could get it on Amazon. This is just a 3x6 box. Waterproof, of course. I had to buy a meter-long section of rail and the breaker. What I want to discuss with you guys today is the breaker. Now, if you go up on Amazon, where this one came from, and believe it or not, where this gun came from, and yes, you can call me stupid because I am very stupid. This on Amazon is $12.49 American. So let's round that to $12.50. Here in Malaysia, there's a 4-to-1 exchange. So that's $48. Plus 2 is 50. So that's 50 Malaysian dollars for this breaker. This breaker is sold in Malaysia through Shopee, which is an online, kind of like Amazon, but it's local, for $11.38 Malaysian money. In other words, I paid 50 bucks plus shipping to get this here. I could have bought it here for 12, under 12 plus shipping. This is one of the reasons I keep harping to you about costs are relative. 50 bucks local coming out of the United States, or $12 if I buy it on Shopee. What are you going to pay for? Well, if you had a brain in your head, you would have bought the one locally, but I don't have a brain in my head. I got two that came in from the US. Duh. Your solar panels have to, by code and by law, go to a breaker like this. You cannot use a resettable Eastman breaker. I wanted to do that. Go to Explorist Life, because Nate has a whole series on how to wire your campers and the proper use of ferrules. I haven't got the furring tool, but you need ferrules. You should have a ferrule in here, and you should have a ferrule in your MPPT. You also should have ferrules in your DC to DC charger. In Europe, they are mandatory. What a ferrule is basically a piece of pipe that you slip over the copper wire that goes in here, and then you put it in a crimp, and it goes from a round circle to a square. And that crimps all the pieces of wire together, so you can't get a piece of wire sticking out and going from a negative to a positive or a positive to a negative and shorting everything out. By code, you have to have this breaker. I learned that the hard way. The reason I've got two is because if I have to have another MPPT, if I'm able to get the 4 solar panels that I'm looking at, my MPPT, which is a 150 Victron, will support 2, but it won't support all 4. I'm looking at buying 5. So I'll have 4 on my roof, a 5th as a spare, and knowing me, I'll buy a whole bunch of solar wire. I'll put in pigtails into one of the MPPT circuits, and I'll slip that one in so I can use that 5th panel as a ground panel. These panels are 405 watts each. So that would give me, 2,025 watts of solar under ideal conditions, where I'd normally be running 1680. So that's one of the things that you really have to watch. Watch your costs, and everything is relative. These little 3.5-inch blower fans are local, and this has a price of ringgit 20. So divide that by 3. That's less than $7 a piece for a 3.5-inch fan. If you're talking Canadian, it's even cheaper if you're talking. It's $5 if you're talking American. Now, if you can buy these in a computer store, someplace like Radio Shack, for example, because that's probably that's where I would go, because that's the only place I know to go to. If you can get them for under $5, you're ahead of the game. But if you're looking at more than $5, you're not ahead of the game. You're losing money. Now, the problem that I'm going to have with these in this box here is I have 4 of these here, but I have no spares. So I'm probably going to have to go buy 3 or 4 more. And the reason for that is if something breaks and you're out on the road and that's where it's going to go, you're screwed. The only problem is I don't want to have 3.5, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, standardize everything wherever you can. The reason I went with 3.5 is I want to put 4 in here, and I need a little bit of space in between. If I put in 4 4s, it's jammed in really tight and it doesn't work right. I also have my gauge in here, and I need that space in here to put this gauge in. Getting this gauge to sit up where it was supposed to be, that was an interesting 1.5 hour battle. So that's where we're at with this. This is done. This is ready to go. This will get mounted up on my firewall, and this hopefully will be able to blow warm air and keep my bed area toasty warm. Now, underneath my bed, my bed will be sitting up here. My bed sits on top of my tank, so if my little box is where my, come on, close up, you're in the way. If this is my bed, this box, and I'm sleeping up here, my diesel heater is going to be mounted here, so my water has to come over, up, and over, and then go back down. But I'm basically sleeping right on top of my tanks area. I'm a little concerned about the noise from the running of the unit. I lost my audio in the first crack at this video today. To the person that commented about what am I doing for cold air intake, I have 2 dryer vents, and I'm going to mount those dryer vents in the opening doors on the sides of my camper, and I will probably take my exhaust from my diesel heater. I have some 1-inch copper pipe. 1 minute, I'll show you. Okay, this is the little muffler you get. That's going to sit like so. It's 22 inches, so I'll just come over and up, and then I'll probably have this thing discharging, my muffler discharging right at one of those vents. So air can come in. Will I be blowing some of my exhaust back into the tanks? Yeah, but I'm going to, if not, I'm going to have to route it someplace else. I am not putting a hole in the deck on my floor. I do not want to have a hole anywhere in the deck of my floor. If I go through water, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be river crossing, I do not want to have anything that can put water anywhere. I've got to keep that bottom solid, no holes in it at all. I also want to make sure that I don't have stuff hanging down. That is why I do not have my long-range fuel, like I did not buy a long-range fuel tank. I have had a slip-on fuel tank in half-ton trucks, 3/4-ton trucks in the past, and getting out and having to pump, run a manual pump, or electric pump I should say, and pump from a separate tank into my main. You need to get out and stretch every once in a while anyway. It's not going to kill you. If you do manage to put a hole in your main, and you're smart enough when you're putting your tanks together and you build yourself a system, which I'm going to do, I'm going to cut my fuel lines. I'll probably be replacing the fuel lines on the vehicle, because the fuel lines on the vehicle are more than likely original to the truck. So I'll replace all those fuel lines. And I'm also going to be replacing the return line. I'm going to cut into those, and I'm going to put in a system where I can turn 2 valves, shut the return off to the tank, shut the electric fuel pump off, so that the electric fuel pump doesn't burn itself out if I put a hole in my gas tank, and I can then suck power or suck fuel out of my 55-gallon inboard tank, and I can turn that into a fuel pump, a fuel system, till I can get repairs made. And that's what I'm going to do in case of an emergency. That's my plan B. I have enough pumps that I can run a system like that, as long as I don't lose the main. The vehicles that I'm looking at are 6.7 Cummins diesels, the 6-liter Ford, and most of the vehicles are automatic. Automatics are both a godsend and a pain in the ass, depending on where you are. I would much rather have a manual transmission in the winter, but if you're doing a lot of highway driving, if you're doing a lot of city driving, then the automatic is actually better. Automatics are fairly good in sand, because you're not dumping a clutch. When you screw up an automatic, it's expensive to repair it. Everything comes with a price, you know. That's the way life is. There's always trade-offs, and you have to be prepared to make those trade-offs. You can jump start or push start a standard. You cannot do that with an automatic. We hope like hell we don't break down too often. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. The other thing is, when I start doing the wiring, all the stuff that I'm going to be putting in the front end of that vehicle, it's going to be separate wiring. I'm not going to cut into the factory looms and harnesses at all. I know better, been there, done that. If you take your vehicle to a shop, let's say you're in North America and you're going to be building something you can drive around North America, maybe even do the Pan American Highway route in. If you go into a shop say, I'm going to pick on Chryslers because I've had several of them. You go into the shop, the technician's going to hook up the computer. The technician's going to go get the microfiche. The technician's going to say, okay, this wire goes here, this wire goes there, this wire goes here. You come along and cut into that wire and splice in something and take it someplace else. Now you're paying for the service tech to try to figure out what the heck you did at about $125 an hour or more shop time. I don't make $125 an hour working. The most I make is $35. But the shops are $125, $150, $200 an hour. I can't afford that. So you don't cut into the factory harnesses. You run a separate fuse box if you have to. You power that fuse box. You protect that fuse box, and things like all your lights, your front lights, your lights in your bull bar. If you're going to put up a light bar on the top of your roof, that's just one thing I'm not going to do at all. I want to run pillar spots. I'm still waiting on a reply from Hella. If I don't get one, I'll have to phone Singapore and find out what the heck is going on, because I'm looking at 3 different pairs of Hella lights. 2 on the pillars, 2 flush mounts going this way into the ditch, and then my big spots to go with the truck. That's what's happening with that. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to shut off my mic because my drill makes too much noise. I'm going to take this box here. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but there are ribs in here as part of the manufacturing process of this. I have to take those ribs out. I don't think I got to take out all 4, but I know I have to take out 2. Yeah, I have to take out this center section. These four little small guys. This one have to go. This has to go, this has to go, this has to go, and that has to go. Once I get that taken out, I can take my shears, I can cut a little piece of rail, I can mount this, and then there you go, Bob's your uncle. But like I say, you have to have a separate disconnect. It's code. Go to Explorers Life and look up what Nate has and follow what he's done. So for now, I'm going to wrap this video up. The Belgian Marwa is making all sorts of noise. Miss Pryia down here, she wants to go and chase the CAT, and I won't let her out of the door with a camera set up for some strange reason. So I'm gonna let you go. I will catch you on the next one. And thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.